as low as I can go. Okay, I'll slump. Welcome to my channel. I'm so happy to have you here. I'm Jazz, and I like to talk about all things business school, lifestyle, vlogs, life transitions, all of those good things, and even some consulting content, even though your girl is about to be done with consulting for forever in the next 13 days. Yes. Today I am talking to you about my experience in this last application cycle applying for full-time MBA programs. So I applied round 2 in 2021, so that January date, for a lot of programs in the middle of the pandemic. And I live to tell the tale. So I am so excited to be able to share everything that I've learned and really hopefully just help someone else learn from my mishaps and mistakes so that it doesn't have to happen to other people. I really wanted to film what this process looked like for me as I was doing it real time, but I didn't really take great care of myself. I got super overwhelmed and I just really couldn't find the energy to record, but I'm deposited somewhere. Your girl's going to business school, and so now I can record. I feel so much lighter. I have the energy, and I'm super pumped to share my journey with you all. So let's jump right in. Okay, so applying to business school has several parts, and it is exhausting. You have your resume, your undergraduate GPA or your transcripts, your test scores, so the GRE or the GMAT, your essays, your letters of recommendations, this weird diagnostic information that some programs, especially in the M7, will require you to fill out, just like grabbing demographic data from you as you're filling out the application. And then if you are applying through the consortium, which highly recommend, then you also have a separate set of consortium essays on top of all of that stuff. Now, I did have a little bit of help. I did do 2 pre-MBA programs. I was a part of a Forte's MBA Launch, which is a program for women applying to business school, last year. And then this year, I was a part of MLT's MBA Prep and the COVID cohort. Shout out to Coach John. And those programs were really quintessential in terms of getting me across the finish line with those applications, because they give you deadlines, they give you guidance, and then they give you exposure to admissions officers that will help build relationships as you're talking through and asking questions about your application. If you just want to hear about where I applied, who rejected me, and where I'm going this fall, fast forward to this timestamp. Otherwise, I'm about to go through what parts of my application did I think were strong, and what do I feel like were weak, and how did I quickly overcome them. Just a snapshot view. These are the aspects of my application that I felt like were strong. So I had a really strong resume. I have 6 years of working experience, 5 years in consulting, 1 year in corporate retail doing supply chain. I'm very confident about myself as a professional in the executive presence, and did a really good job pulling out like my impact in each of the roles and projects that I've worked on. And outside of that, in the years leading up to getting my MBA, I have always had a lot of community service and really have been connected in my community. So I felt like my resume was great. My essays in tandem, because of all of the experiences and involvement that I had in leadership, I was able to pull that out in a lot of my essays to be able to respond to school prompts. So very confident about that as well. My letters of recommendation were really strong. I built a really strong relationship with a lot of the mentors and sponsors that I've met in my firm over time, and I really trusted them to give me a bomb letter of recommendation. And now for the weak parts of my application, I did have a low undergraduate GPA. I was below a 3.0, and it was a downward trend. To combat that, I enrolled in a math class, so MBA Math with UC Berkeley, and was able to complete it and provided that to programs with an update along with my application, and also noted that in my optional essays as well. And then another weak part of my applications was my test score, and I say that kind of too vain because I did take the GMAT 7 times, including the 2 attempts of the online GMAT, so it was a lot, but I feel like I still proved my tenacity and just general awareness of the strength of my application by continuing to do the work on my part, right? So I'm hiring tutors, I'm taking classes, and really trying to do whatever I could in my control to raise my score. But in no particular order, I applied to 9 programs, which, pro tip, I would have applied to less because it really does take a lot of time and effort and energy and connecting to really put together a quality application. And I think the time that I spent doing it for programs that I knew I wasn't a good fit for could have been spent elsewhere or strengthening other applications on programs that I was actually passionate about. So in no particular order, I applied to Indiana University, Kelley School of Business, Dartmouth Tuck, University of Michigan Ross, Emory University Goizetta School of Business, Harvard Business School, University of Pennsylvania Wharton, UCLA Anderson, USC Marshall, and Yale School of Management. And so I will also indicate which schools I applied via consortium. I was ultimately invited to interview to 5 programs, and that was Kelley, Tuck, Ross, Goizetta, and Wharton. And then from all of those interviews, I was waitlisted at 4 programs and ultimately accepted with scholarship at Kelley, and then was accepted off the waitlist at none other than. So I'll be going to Tuck in the fall, and I'm so excited to be a Tuckie, y'all. I am feeling just so blessed to be able to go to a top program that I truly fell in love with in this application process. And it was a really tough year for me, even outside of applying to business school. I was on the roughest projects in my career I've ever experienced in my life, and experienced extreme burnout, and even had a little mini breakdown. I went through 2 major breakups, one with a long-term partner that I was living with at the time, so both boyfriend and best friend just gone. We're in the middle of the pandemic and people are dying, and it literally feels like the Hunger Games, George Floyd, and white people realizing that racism exists. Like, it was all just very overwhelming, on top of dealing with crippling test anxiety, feeling like an imposter the entire time, not understanding what my worth was, and constantly questioning if this was all worth it. But that brings me back to the purpose of this video, is that eventually you do get to the finish line, eventually you do make it, and eventually it all becomes worth it in the end. And I'm just really gonna soak this in. I literally feel like when I got the call off the wait list, it felt like I got the golden ticket. I got a golden ticket, I got a golden chance to make my way. To me, I don't understand how anyone can be any semblance of normal after this year, but I am taking God's blessing, and I just feel like because I've been so depressed and so down, and after doing all of this work and feeling like I had nothing to show for it, it feels amazing to be able to stand on the other side. 3 things that I learned now that I finished the process that I wish more people would have told me, or I wish I would have actually listened to. But first is being true to yourself, because I don't know how many iterations of essays I did before I really got to the heart of what I truly wanted to do, of what really aligned to my passions. And I think the more that you can make your application the most authentic you, like, y'all, I really did talk about Moesha in a different world and what that impact had on me, and the impact of seeing dark-skinned chocolate females on the television and what that did for my confidence, and the fact that any of these top programs saw that and even thought, yeah, maybe she'd be a good fit for my program, I think makes me feel even more special than if I were to just say, yeah, I could do a tech ops role. It's not me. And second, what I learned is to keep your blinders on. Comparison is the thief of joy, which I know is a lot easier said than done, but I think the more that you can focus on yourself and truly taking care of yourself and not worrying, hey, this person is announcing where they got to school, this person got an interview and I didn't, What's wrong with me? This person is GMAT final and I'm not. This is the end of the world. I wasn't even meant to be here. All of those things are lies that you're telling to yourself. And I think the sooner that you can focus on you, focus on taking care of you, meditate, get outside, especially in the middle of the pandemic. I was literally not going outside for weeks at a time, which is not healthy. And I think the better the process can serve you. And then lastly, all you need is one yes. As bummed out as I was getting waitlisted to so many programs, you'll realize every program has to do the shuffle, and everyone, even the top applicants that end up going to their dream schools, they can only go to one school, and eventually you will get to your spot. You will find your way to make it. And I think as long as you keep that tenacity and resilience, there's literally nothing anyone can tell you. I am planning on taking all of you on this wonderful journey and transition to Hanover. I'm so excited to get there. Go follow my Instagram at @jayaderonke. I promise I will post more than selfies and beauty shots. And I'll be posting a lot more content. And to make sure that you don't miss a video, make sure to hit the subscribe and the bell notifications. Until next time, I thank you guys so much for connecting with me.